What is up, guys? My name is Baden. If you don't know me or follow me on Instagram, I own a 2018 Jeep Trackhawk that is a supercharged Hellcat inside of a Jeep. Pretty sweet rig. If you didn't know already, I do have like a YouTube channel. I kind of just post like rinky-dink videos on here and there, just me and my buddies. And so this is kind of like my first, like, I guess you call it a vlog or video of my Jeep, kind of giving an update. And unfortunately, it's not under the circumstances that I wish. I recently broke the Trackhawk in a sense. And so basically just kind of give a video update of what's going on with it, and then kind of how we're going to bounce back, and yeah, how we plan to fix this thing. But if you know me personally, you know how much time I spent in this Jeep, and I loved it. And lately people have been asking like, oh, where have you been? Where's the Jeep? How's the Jeep doing? And whatnot. So here is kind of my video updating you on what happened and yeah, how we're gonna fix it. So stay tuned. So as you can see, this thing is completely torn apart. Typically, you got a driver's side head there, your supercharger right here. We have actually gone through at a prior date and completely stripped this thing apart. So, I mean, it looks helter-skelter right now, but it was one engine at one point. We just went through trying to diagnose everything and look at it, see what's wrong, to see what's running rough with this. Little backstory on performance parts. I actually had the Ripatune 850 Plus kit. I'll put the link down up below. I mean, if you feel like getting it. This thing, after that kit was actually, I mean, it was a ripper. It was fast. I mean, most things on the street here on town, like, it would absolutely annihilate them from a dig. Obviously, there's a couple cars in town that are just absolutely way faster than me. You may have seen me racing on Landon and Hellcat's channel. Shout out to Landon. His cars are a little bit faster than mine, but I mean, from a roll race, it doesn't do too bad for, I mean, we're talking, this is a 5,500 pound Jeep that's keeping up with a lot of these cars, if not spanking cars. And I mean, it was fast stock. So kit made a huge improvement. Anyways, so long story short, about, I don't know, 2 months ago now, I was driving into work and then just got like a random misfire. Thinking like, that's kind of weird, so sometimes on these things the map sensors will get a little dirty, and you just clean them up and they'll run a little bit better. They just, I don't know, it just sucks in a lot of shit every now and then, gets covered in oil, whatnot. I did have a catch can, so that helped out quite a bit. So anyways, I think I tried doing that and it didn't help anything like that. And then I was getting like a number 3 cylinder misfire check engine light. So I replaced the ignition coil, didn't do nothing. So I ended up limping it home that day. And then I pulled the plugs to check the plugs. Probably the first thing that I should have done, but anyways, that's whatever. Pulled the plugs and the arches on the cylinder were actually squished. Or not on the cylinder, my bad. The spark plugs were actually squished on both plugs. So I was thinking, oh, that is weird as hell. I've never seen anything like that. So I was talking with some friends and stuff like that. A couple of buddies of mine are mechanics, trying to help diagnose, what could have caused that. And a couple people were like, oh, maybe that piston slapped it a little bit. But I mean, I was like, I really feel like, you would have heard that. Like, it would have been just slapping the shit out of that, making a lot of noise, and I didn't get anything like that. It just started running funny. So got those plugs out, me not knowing any better. I just was like, all right, I'm going to replace the plug and see what it does. Replaced both plugs and it ran amazing. And I actually drove that around with the new plugs for probably a good month. Went out with my friends, was ripping a couple weekends. I mean, just doing your typical shit you do with this, just out doing stoplight digs, stuff like that, etc. And like, it ran great, like I said. And then like a few months later, she did it again. So I pulled the plugs again, and it was only one plug this time. And I was, okay, odd. Replaced the plugs again. Same thing. Ran great. Ran amazing. And like at the time, I didn't see like anything like damaged or wrong on the top of the piston. Nothing that really stood out. So I drove it around like that for a little bit longer. And one day I was coming home from work again, and literally right outside my driveway, this thing just bogs down, running rough, shuts down. I'm like, oh, whoa, no, okay, something's going on. Start it up again. It runs enough so I can just limp it in the driveway. And went through the same thing, pulled the plugs. The plugs were fine this time. And then I was just kind of like stumped at that because I didn't have any check engine lights. And then, so I fiddled around with it a little bit more, started up, and then I ended up getting a check engine light for it running lean. Or sorry, not lean, it was running rich. And so I was like, all right, that's weird. You know, there's a couple things that can cause that. So I kind of went through everything else. Nothing seemed to fix it. We ended up doing a leak down test and a compression test. And I had like 0 compression in cylinder 1, which was odd because it wasn't the cylinder that I actually had issues with in the first place. And so my buddy was like, oh, the motor's toast, dude. Like, you got no compression. Like, all right. So we did the leak down test, and I had good compression in cylinder 1, good compression in cylinder 3, which was the one that had the issues. But all the air was coming out of, you know, a leak down test, you'll have air come out of 3 spots, right? So it'll either come out of your oil, somewhere in your oil dipstick, typically. That'll tell you your rings are bad. Come out of your exhaust valves are bad, or your intake, or in our case, it would come out of the supercharger. And that'll tell you, you know, if you got a bad like intake valve or something like that. So we did that, and all the air was coming out of the intake valve. So we're like, all right, well, something's going on with the intake valves. Sorry, the air was coming out of the supercharger. So we're like, something's wrong with the intake valves. So the other thing is we did we put a bore scope down in there, and there was actually something embedded in the top of the piston. So I was like, okay, that's not good now. So I was thinking, okay, well, maybe it's one of the arches off the plugs, but no plug that I took off actually had any of the arches that were fully snapped off. So like thinking, okay, well, what is that? What could that be? So after the leak down test, we decided we're going to take the valve covers off, see, you know, if maybe it's got like a stuck valve or something like that. And after doing that, we did find out that there was a broken valve spring on cylinder 1. So that kind of explains like the 0 compression on that one, and then the good compression on cylinder 3. And so I was like, I'm thinking, okay, well, you know what? We're going to take this even further. We've already got everything off. I think we had already had the supercharger off at that point too. And I was pretty much just like, well, let's just see if this motor's done. Obviously, there's something embedded in the piston. And before this even happened, I had bought the kit from Ripatoon to actually upgrade to E85. So I was going to go to E85 this summer and try to make this thing even faster than it already was. And so anyways, took the heads off, looked at cylinder number 3. Whatever was embedded in that piston was no longer there. But this is what we found, actually. So we have this motor apart now. This has been off for a minute. And so looks ugly, as you can tell. But if you actually look down there in cylinder 3, you can see the top half of this piston. Let's see if I can get this to focus in. That is about a 1-inch chunk. What you're seeing there shiny is actually the rings of the piston, and the other piece there is actually a chunk of the piston from the valve relief missing. So I did hear from a couple friends. They were like, oh, you know, that's obviously a sign that it was getting hot in there. It was running lean, getting hot, and that's typically what causes that, is a bad tune. Nothing against Rip-A-Tune. I don't really know shit about tuning, so I don't know what exactly caused that. I do know that it did act like it would run lean and then just dump fuel to compensate. I would get a lot of like burbles, pops, and stuff like that. So, I mean, if you know what could have caused that, just let me know down in the comments what you think, or what your opinion is on what damaged that, or how does that happen. But so obviously that was a shock to open it up and see. And there's really, it's kind of dirty in here now. Don't worry, this motor isn't going to be used again. But I mean, there's almost no damage in there. You can't catch a nail on any of that you see there. You can see that piston though. Obviously that's kind of where something was embedded. So you can see that took a beating from, obviously now I know what caused those spark plugs to have the arches closed. It was that chunk of piston just came off and it was just bouncing around in here. And yeah, so pretty wild. Never seen that happen before. But sometimes you get those things on these big jobs. So anyways, I was just like, you know what? I'm not even going to try to fuck with this and rebuild this. This is a high mileage motor. I'm going to just start from fresh. So at first, I was looking at the Demon TKM 426. I'd always said, like, oh, I'm going to run a 426 in here if this ever goes. That would be badass. Everybody's got like a 426 build, and those are fucking sweet. So long story short, I ended up going a different route. I was just trying to look at the best cost-effective route, and regardless of what I did, I wanted to replace this entire engine and start from fresh. So I am actually not really in the works. I'm just waiting on it now at this point, but I have already bought a Demon long block engine from the Dodge Demons. I got that from High Horse Performance. I'll put the link down that in the page. And I am going to send my supercharger off to get ported by Joker's Performance. If you haven't heard of them, they've got a YouTube, I think, also, and they've done quite a bit of those ports for big name guys and stuff like that, and they do great. Basically a billet bearing plate, ported snout, and then they'll rebuild the entire front half of the engine, or not the engine, the supercharger. And so everything in here is going to be pretty much so I'll have the Demon short block ported supercharger, and I'm also going to run the Titan 2 camshaft from Flying Ryan Performance. I'll put a link to that camshaft in the video. So I mean, this thing's going to be nuts. And like I said, prior to me actually losing the engine, I got everything to run E85. I've got 1200cc injectors, booster pump, and I'll go get everything in and retuned. And then, I mean, dude, this thing, I don't know. The guy I'm going to, I'm actually going to go to a local guy in town, Smith Speed Tuning. If you know who Josh Bader is, I think him and Josh Bader kind of run around, and those guys know what they're doing. And then I'll actually be able to put this on a dyno in town, and I will post a video of what it makes on the dyno. So yeah, anyways, long story short, this is kind of the update, and then I will be posting another video when we do the install of the actual engine, so be sure to check that out. And I'm not sponsored by any of these guys. This is all my money. Like, I'm paying for this all out of pocket. So I mean, if you want to go support me, just like follow, like my videos and stuff like that, maybe help take this off a little bit. Like I said, it's my first vlog, so if it looks like I don't know what I'm doing, I don't. So it's kind of just me doing my thing. Me and a few buddies, you know, and we'll get this all swapped out, and hopefully we'll be running again before summer's over, or maybe fall. Regardless, it'll be gone by next year. And yeah, just stay tuned and follow for the next video.